Hi, I'm Chef Sazon, and welcome to today's live cooking class. We're here live at Sazon Studios. It's about 10:30 Eastern Time, and we're cooking everything here live. So we're gonna tape this, keep that in mind. We are gonna post the recipe in the comments, and it will be up available throughout the class as we go. Today's dish of the day, recipe of the week, we're gonna make fried okra with an Old Bay Aioli. So we're gonna do two recipes in one. I'm gonna show you how to properly fry okra with a nice delicious batter that I made. And we're gonna make a sauce, an aioli, which is a garlic mayonnaise, flavored with Old Bay seasoning. The classic Americana Old Bay bottle. Old Bay is a great spice used for seafood, and it's gonna be really, really nice in this aioli. Before we get started, I just wanna, again, welcome everybody that's watching live. If you want to be involved, use the chat, send some questions, send some high fives, just say hello. I like to always meet the subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? Hit that little like button, subscribe, join the group. We have a lot of videos coming up. I'm always putting some cool shorts, and we're going to have a video every week, and we're going to be doing a live every week as well. So sign up and share. All right, so hopefully everybody has their ingredients. If you don't, it's okay. We're gonna save this and you can follow along in the future with me. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna first start off with Old Bay aioli. So aioli, like I was saying, it's a garlic mayonnaise that comes from Spain. So what's the difference between aioli and mayonnaise? I would say the texture's a little thinner, it's a little runnier, more like a looser sauce. It's not a thick mayo. And it has garlic, has to have garlic. So let's get started. So first ingredient, garlic. So the recipe calls for, and you see the recipes posted up there. We have a tablespoon of garlic paste. You can either have the garlic paste ready to go, or what I like to do, I use a microplane. It's one of these guys. And let me show you, give you a little closer look from above. So the microplane, it's a tool that used to be a planer for wood. I guess the wife of a carpenter or so must have gotten that tool and started assessing lemons and limes, and it's probably the best thing to assess citrus, and it's great also for garlic, ginger, and turmeric. So we're gonna begin by zesting that, and let me show you, I'll give you a little close-up over here. You grab a little bowl. You can put everything right in a blender. You're gonna need a blender or a food processor, but I'm gonna put everything in a bowl because I want you to see all the ingredients together. So get about a tablespoon of your garlic paste, and look how this microplane really does the job here. A little bit more. And the good thing that it doesn't really get your knuckles, so it's a pretty safe tool to use. All right, so there we go. All that garlic in there. All right, so now that we have our garlic in here, we're gonna continue with some lemon juice. I didn't have lemon. Oh. What happens? You substitute. I'm using a lime today. So lime is like the Latin cousin of lemons. So it works really well also. So I'm gonna just cut a piece. And the recipe calls for a tablespoon of lemon juice. So that's about half a lemon, I would say. I like my sauces a little extra zesty. So if you put a little extra, it won't hurt it. That's up to you. You're the chef of your kitchen. All right, so I'm gonna squeeze that in there, about 1 tablespoon. There you go. That's good. All right, so lemon juice, garlic, Dijon mustard. We're gonna use 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I like the Dijon mustard because it also helps stick and bind everything. Mustard has a component called lecithin, and it causes everything to kind of bind. So you see a lot of mustard in dressings and vinaigrettes because it kind of helps bind the oil and the water solubles together. All right, so we have the mustard in there, and I like the flavor. Dijon mustard is really good. A little splash of hot sauce. How much? It's not a spicy sauce. You just want the acidity from the vinegar of the hot sauce and a little bit of heat just to kind of waken up everything. So a little splash. I'm using a little Cholula. Tabasco actually probably works better for this recipe. This is a southern New Orleans style recipe, so Tabasco or crystal sauce is really good for that. Next, we're gonna do some eggs. I have 2 egg yolks, which is going to give us a nice rich body to our aioli. And a whole egg. The whole egg, it's also going to give it a little fluffiness because the egg whites, once you beat it up, is going to kind of aerate and get a little fluffy. So crack an egg in there. Boom. There you go. Our next ingredient, it's the main ingredient, Old Bay. So we're going to put a whole tablespoon of that. That's going to give it a nice zest, nice spice kick in there. So let's put a whole tablespoon. All right, a couple pinches of salt. And we're going to taste it as we go. So when you cook, you always want to put a little bit of salt and flavor and pepper at the beginning, just to kind of start building some flavor. But you don't want to go heavy on the salt because as you cook, the ingredients that you add sometimes have their own sodium and savoriness. So you just want to add a little bit at the beginning, taste, and add more. You can always add more. It's hard to take out. And a little black pepper in there as well. A little fancy grinder. This is good stuff right here. All right, so just to recap, so make sure we're all in the bowl together. We have 2 eggs, 1 whole egg, 2 egg yolks, sorry, 1 whole egg. We have a tablespoon of lemon juice. We have a tablespoon of garlic paste. We have a tablespoon of Old Bay, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a dash of hot sauce, a little salt and pepper. All right, so now we're going to grab a blender and we'll put everything in the blender. All right, so let's put all that in there. And we're going to blend this for about 20 seconds because I want everything to get nice and mixed. And then after those 20 seconds pass, we're going to start pouring a little bit at a time the olive oil. Now, if you find this recipe to be a little too strong with the olive oil, you can also substitute olive oil with something lighter like a canola, or you can go half and half. Sometimes too much olive oil might overpower the taste, so you can go like a 50-50 canola or avocado oil and olive oil. All right, so let's get this covered. Let's get this popping. All right. All right, so at this point, I just wanted to stop for a second to show you what it looks like. Give you a little bird's eye look. See that nice color? That's from all the spices. So at this point, I'm going to turn the blender back on and start drizzling the oil in a thin little stream. And that's going to emulsify. If you ever heard that term, emulsifying, you're trying to encapsulate all those water molecules with the oil and marry that together. And the proteins from the egg yolks are going to help as well with that, and as well as the lecithin from the mustard. But we're just making maintenance. Now I'm getting too fancy with this. All right, let's... That's a loud blender, huh? So you can also make this in a food processor if you don't have a blender. So it's starting to take shape. It's still a little thin. I'm going to go a little bit more. All right, and I'm going to mix a little bit of the canola as well, because this bottle's going a little slow. So let's turn this on. There we go. Oh yeah, that smells really, really nice. Let me get you a little scoop here so you can see. Look at that. Beautiful color from the spices and the mustard. Really, really nice. So let me get a little taste. Oh yeah, that's nice. I don't even think it needs any more salt. This is really good. So easy. So Old Bay Aioli, put that in a little nice serving bowl because when we make our okra, we want to serve that on the side. So you can make this ahead of time and put this in the fridge, even for a few days. This will be good for 4 or 5 days in the fridge. And this is fantastic with any kind of fritters, like conch fritters, or just some fried shrimp, crab legs, all that good stuff. Anything you would put Old Bay on, this sauce will go really good. Even fries. I think anything fried will go really good with this. So let's get this ready. Let me just give you another shot of this aioli. Look at that. Let me give you a shot right here. Oh. Beautiful color, ready to go. So I'm gonna set this aside and I'm gonna start getting ready for our fried okra. But before we do, I'm gonna put a little video to show you some of what Sazon does. We do a lot of these live stream classes in person, virtually. So if you wanna get your private group, your friends or anybody, co-workers, and do a little team building, we can do this live session together live. So I'm gonna put a little video showing what happens behind the scenes at one of our Sazon cooking classes. See you. All right, and we're back. Ready to fry some okra? Let's do this. All right, so you guys like fried okra? This is one of those ingredients that it's either smash or pass kind of deal. So okra, let's get started. Fried okra. So everybody either knows this from being fried or in a gumbo. I love it in a gumbo. I like that sliminess. It's kind of funky, that texture, but I love it in the soup, or I like it fried. Any other ways, I feel like I haven't really fallen in love with it, but I do really love it either on gumbo or fried. So I'm gonna run down the ingredients and then we're gonna get started. Okay, so for the fried okra, we're gonna need 2 cups of okra, fresh. Make sure this fresh. You can do this with the frozen okra as well. So trust me, it's fine. You can use the frozen if you need to. Half a cup of buttermilk, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 3 tablespoons of flour, 3 tablespoons of cornmeal, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1 tablespoon of lemon pepper, salt to taste, and 1.5 cups of canola oil for frying. All right, hopefully you got all the ingredients. Again, if you have any questions, post them in the chat. Any thumbs up, let me know how your aioli came out earlier. So let's get started. All right, so now we have our ingredients. Before we get started with the preparation of this dish, make sure you have your pan that you're gonna fry in ready to go. Also a tray where you're gonna transfer your fried ingredients on. So having everything ready, prepped to cook, ready to go is called your mise en place. Having everything set in place. So every great professional chef does this, but at home, you are a chef. So you wanna be organized, so you wanna be prepared, because you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail. So, and it's just grabbing everything in front of you. Look, I have all my equipment here. I have most of my ingredients here. I have everything ready to go in my vicinity, so then I can just grab my little wine, relax, and just focus on what I'm doing. So it makes it so much easier, trust me. All right, so let's turn on the pan that you're gonna fry on, and put your oil in there and just slightly heat it up. Because you want this to heat up by the time you're done prepping. So sometimes, you know, you're cooking and the hard part is kind of putting everything all together. When you do this, when you do that, you want to kind of do certain items. Like in this case, I'm going to have it on low, just so slowly the oil starts acclimating and we're ready to cook. All right, so this is a two-part process. We're going to do a wet batter, and then we're going to go into a dry batter. So we're gonna start with the wet. We're gonna start by putting 1/2 cup of buttermilk in here. If you don't have buttermilk, you can use regular milk. If you wanna make this vegan, you can use oat milk or even an almond milk. Make sure it's not sweetened though. You don't want it sweet. All right, so then we're gonna put a teaspoon of garlic powder. This is where you can get a little creative. If you want to add an extra spice in there, go for it. But I feel just a little bit of garlic goes a long way here. Gonna give it a nice savory taste. And we're gonna put a few pinches of salt. There you go. Mix that up and set that aside. All right. Next, we're gonna cut the okra. So how do we cut this guy? We're gonna need 2 cups of cut okra. So how much is that? Probably about a pound or so. So there's a couple ways you can cut this. I'll give you a little close-up from above. So see, it's this way long. You want to trim a little bit of the tip right here, just the tip, boom, there, and then this side a little bit too. Just trim that in. And then I like to cut it more on an obliques, on the bias, a little angle side, so to look like this. But you can also cut them straight down as well into about 1 inch thick coin. So you can cut them like this or like that. So you can go with this or you can go with that. Where are we going? Here we go. All right, so it doesn't really matter. I like a little bit on the bias, so you get a little more of that surface, so you can get too much sliminess. So I'm gonna cut them up and get these ready. So once you have your wet mixture ready, just cut up your okra and you can just throw them right into that wet, call it a marinade, because if you're using the buttermilk does help break down the okra a little bit and take some of that bitterness off as well. All right, so once you have it cut, put all that in your wet mix. I already had some cut here. And we can give this a little mix. What do we have here to mix this with? Mix them well. You want to make sure you get all that buttermilk in there. That's, you know, you're imparting all that garlic sour taste from the buttermilk. It's going to be really, really nice. And you want to make sure they're fully coated in all that wetness, because when you put it in the dry, you want the wet to stick to the dry. If it's not fully wet, there's some pieces that's not going to stick and your batter's not going to be all even. All right, so you can mix that up, and you can make this ahead, probably like 30 minutes in advance. You don't want to let it sit too much because the longer you let it sit, the slimier it's going to be, and then the okra's going to start falling apart, and you don't want that to happen. All right, so there we go. That's set aside. And next, we're going to get ready for our dry batter mix. All right, so grab another bowl, and let's begin with the dry stuff. So we have some cornmeal. Cornmeal is going to give a little extra crunchiness, a little extra flavor. That's Southern love, you know. A little cornmeal in there. Next, this is the base flour. This is all-purpose flour. Put that right in there. And then next, to also kind of give a little complexity to the batter, give a little lightness, light crisp, cornstarch. And then for flavor, we're going to put a tablespoon of lemon pepper. I like the lemon pepper here because it's going to add that little bit of extra pepper, the little zestiness, that little lemon flavor that's going to go really, really nice with the okra. So a tablespoon of that. So as you can see, this is a very well seasoned dish. Our aioli is really packed with all that Old Bay flavor. And then our okra, it's not just simply fried. We have the lemon pepper that's going to give you that little zesty pepperiness. There's garlic powder in there. So there's a lot of flavors going on. And then a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. More black pepper. Even though we did lemon pepper, I like the extra pepper in this. Anything fried with extra black pepper is really, really great. All right? I mean, we want to flavor this. We want to Sazon it up, right? All right, so now that everything's nice and seasoned and mixed, get that nice mix. Here's a little trick. You can taste your batter. What I like to do, lightly lick my finger here and then just put a little bit of that flour right where you licked it so it sticks, and then taste it. You're not eating all this dry stuff, but you want to make sure you taste what you're going to fry. So this is one way to do that. All right. So at this point, let's heat up your oil. What temperature you want this? About 375. And so you want to start hot. You can use a thermometer to gauge it, and that's the best way to do it. Don't stick your finger in there. I put my hand above just to feel any of the steam, but you do not want to stick your hand in there or a spoon or whatever funky method. You want to use a thermometer. Or the old school way, you can just literally put a piece of whatever you're frying and put it in the pan, and if it starts frying really quick or too quick, it's too hot, or if it's just sitting there floating, it's too cold. So this is the part where you kind of either have to learn by experience or use a thermometer. So I encourage you to use a thermometer, and then you get the experience. All right, so let's see. This is about 180. It's getting there. So I turned it up. But since I had it nice and cold a little earlier, warming up earlier, it's going to easily get to the temperature that I want. So, mise en place, right? I have my little tray. You could use a plate or a little baking tray, cookie tray. Put a paper towel because that's going to soak up any residual oil from the fried item. And keep that nearby. We have our flour mixture right here. Look at that. Ready to go. And this breading procedure, you can also use this for onions. If you want to make some onion rings, this goes really, really good. Or any kind of veggie, zucchini, asparagus, goes really well. Oh yeah, this is looking good. So we're gonna start mixing our okra in here. So I don't want to crowd the pan. So what I'm gonna do is just drop a few pieces in there, and you can pick it up, use a tongue. You can use your hand. I just don't feel like getting my hands full of stickiness right now. So you can use any tongs or tweezers. So just throw about 10 pieces in there. You don't want to throw too much of the batter because it's going to get too soggy. Drain off any excess. And then we're going to give this a shake. Okay. Nice little shake and bake. That's good. Ooh, I got that pepper going in my nose. All right, so let's check it with the thermometer, and then we'll do the old school way. Let's see. What are we at? Let's see, what are we? 300, 325. We're almost there, and I can smell it. So a couple things to take notice of if you don't have a thermometer. You can feel the heat, right? Just put your hand about a foot above, you start feeling the warmth. If you start feeling that, that means the oil is getting hot. If you start seeing smoke coming out, that's a big sign. That's a sign that you should pay attention to what's going on, because it's gonna get hot, too hot. And also the oil expands, so you want to make sure you use a pan that's at least an inch or two in height. So I'm gonna put one piece in. Let's try. Let's see how it goes. Oh, look at that. I'm gonna let it go for another 30 seconds. See how this piece fully cooks off. But I think it's looking great. You hear that popping, you hear that cracking. Look at that shot right there. Yeah, let's put more pieces in there. I think this batch is ready to go in there. Yep. So whenever you hear the term crowding the pan, that means sticking too many items in the pan that A, everything sticks together, B, it's going to lower the temperature of the oil. So if you put a lot of cold items in one hot pan, that's going to lower your heat, and then your items might undercook. All right, so speaking of undercook, some of these are starting to get ready. So get a little strainer, and you can start fishing these out gently. Remember, this is a light, crispy batter, so you don't want to shake them up too much, because stuff will start breaking. So if you find another little nook in there, you can fit one or two more pieces in there. And your first batch is the trickiest part when deep frying, because you're trying to gauge your temperature not to drop in heat or be too hot, right? So you're kind of playing this dance where I don't want to burn this, I don't want to get too cold, and everything's getting soggy. So you want to really pay attention to your first batch. All right, look at that. See that? Nice and crispy, beautiful and golden. Let's start taking some of these pieces out. All right. So it should be about 2 to 3 minutes the whole time, depending on your heat. After about a minute or two, give them a flip. Some flip on their own and some don't, so you want to give them a nice flip. You want to make sure the whole thing is fully brown all around. So just give them a little turnaround. Oh yeah, these are looking nice. Let me show you one from above right here. Look at that. Oh, that's hot. Can't even eat it yet. So I'm gonna just let them sit here, chillax here for a minute while I get the next batch going on. Guys, if you have any questions, this is a good time to post them. I think tomorrow I'm going to go live again. For now, I'm giving you surprise lives. So if you see a notification, if you're a subscriber, you'll get a notification when my next live is. So I encourage you to sign up. All right, this first batch is ready. So once you make a batch, don't immediately run in there and throw in your next batch in there, because you want to let the oil kind of get back into temperature, right? We wanted it 350, and we just had a bunch of stuff frying. Sometimes the temperature lowers. So I would check it again before you go in there. Yeah, so see, it lowered a little bit. This is like 340, so I'm going to make sure it's nice and hot. Another thing I recommend, get one of these little, they call these a spider or a little colander, and just skim any of the chunks of flour or little bits in the oil. That's going to help preserve your oil, not burn so quick. Especially when deep frying, you don't want to burn your oil. All right, so let's get one more batch in, and then we're going to plate up our okra. Put it all together. Really, really nice stuff here. All right, so now my oil is ready. God bless you over there. We got Mandy in the studio today, in the ones and twos in the control room. We have Naya also in the studio, our guest, behind the scenes guest. They're gonna get to enjoy our delicious okra soon. Oh, okay. So see, it's heating up. I felt the heat. I saw some of the fumes coming out, and you can kind of see it a little bit. So you want to be careful. There you go. So see, it was a little hot. So if it's a little hot, you can do a couple things. You can lower the heat here. Don't put everything in there. If you see it's too hot, just lower the heat. No need to panic. See, that goes really too quick. So we're gonna let the temperature drop just a bit. Get these guys out. All right. While we wait, make sure you have a plate where you're gonna serve this in. I grabbed the plate already and put a little underliner wax paper so it looks nice and restaurant style. And my aioli right there. I also have a little lime wedge there so we can squeeze on and just have that ready. All right, let me drop this next batch and we're ready to go. Some southern fried okra here. All right. Okay. And when you're making several batches of fried items, you start getting into a rhythm. So as you make a batch, you kind of like get your speed with the oil, and then you start kind of cranking them out. So that's part of the experience. All right, so as this batch is coming out, I'm going to begin plating my gorgeous okra here. All right. Actually, let me take some of these out. All right, so hopefully at this time too, you also have a nice beer chilling. Because pairs up really nice with this, maybe an IPA. If you're into wine, what pairs well with fried okra? I mean, fried items, anything fried and doughy like this, a nice champagne goes really, really nice. So I will pop the champagne right now, if that's what you're into. Or if you're not having nothing alcoholic, a nice Coca-Cola, a nice soda goes really good with anything fried. All right, so let's plate up our little okra bites here. I'm just gonna put several pieces here. And then I'm gonna show you what I like to garnish with. We're gonna get a little bit more Old Bay and just sprinkle some of that on top. All right. It's hot. All right. Let's give it one of those little emerald bams. Let's make it rain. It's gonna look nice. Gonna also accent the colors, the flavors. All right. Here we go. So here we go, guys. Let me give you a little close-up. Bring you a little closer. Our fried okra. A little fried okra with our Old Bay Aioli. Look at that. Let me see if I give you a close-up from here. How does that look? And let's try one. Don't take my word for it. Mmm. Oh, yeah. Really nice. So you get that savoriness from all the spices. The aioli is fantastic. I mean, the aioli, you can use that on a crab cake. It will be really, really great. Or even just with fries. Then you squeeze your little lime in there. I think it adds a little freshness. Cuts into that creaminess that the that the okra has inside. So here we have it, guys. Fried okra with Old Bay Aioli. And if you've been watching all along or you just jumped in at any given time, I just want to reiterate, please share this with a friend. Nothing's better than cooking with friends, so share the recipe, subscribe to the channel, check out the other videos I have. I have a bunch of other cool stuff going on, and we'll be posting a couple of events coming up soon. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you are a subscriber, share it with a friend. All right? Well, thank you guys for watching. I am Chef Sazon. Welcome to the Chef Sazon cooking channel. Have a great night. Hi guys, today we're gonna make a pan-seared churrasco with a blackberry chimichurri. If you ever had a chimichurri sauce, normally it's done with herbs. Parsley is normally the main herb. We're gonna use parsley as the main herb, but we're also gonna use some blackberries. Chimichurri is a sauce that I love using with steaks, so it's gonna be a little tart, herbaceous, and it's gonna be perfect with a churrasco. And if you're pairing that with the red wine, even better. So we're gonna begin with the chimichurri. We're gonna start with the base of it. We're gonna begin by grating some garlic. So we're gonna grab a couple garlic cloves, and you can use a microplane or a garlic press if you want, and just grate 2 of these guys in there. You should get about a big tablespoon of grated garlic. So now that the garlic is grated, we're gonna add half of our blackberries in the mix. We're gonna muddle these to create a little bit of that sauce. We're also gonna put some chili flakes in there. That's gonna give us some heat. All right, so just grab them and gently just kind of smash them in there. All right, next we're gonna add some citrus. We're gonna add some fresh squeezed lime. All right, you can squeeze it by hand or you can use one of these contractions. Lemon squeezer is good. So now we're gonna add a red wine vinegar. We're also gonna season this with salt and pepper at this time. So. Next, we're gonna dice up some red onion. The next thing we're gonna add is the remaining blackberries. Those we're gonna cut in half. Once you have all your blackberries cut, you're gonna put that in the sauce. And next we're gonna chop up our parsley. So this is Italian parsley. You can use curly parsley, but either one works really well for this. I'm gonna remove just loosely the bottom part of the stems. Some of the stem here is fine. So you can leave a little bit in there. So what I like to do, I like to roll this up together as a bunch and then give this a pre-slice before I chop it up. I'm gonna cut little thin strips out of this, and then I'm gonna go and chop it up. All right, that looks good. So you want a nice chop, doesn't have to be too fine, but nice rough chop, that enough that there's in small pieces. So we're gonna put that into the bowl. At this point you can add the vegetable oil. That's gonna help give it a little body, because the extra virgin has a strong olive oil taste. You don't wanna put too much extra virgin. The combination of both is gonna give it a nice balance. That way we have balanced flavors and nothing's overpowered in there. All right, take this up over here. Hi guys, today we're gonna make a pan-seared churrasco with a blackberry chimichurri. If you ever had a chimichurri sauce, normally it's done with herbs. Parsley is normally the main herb. We're gonna use parsley as the main herb, but we're also gonna use some blackberries. Chimichurri is a sauce that I love using with steaks, so it's gonna be a little tart, herbaceous, and it's gonna be perfect with a churrasco. And if you're pairing that with the red wine, even better. So we're gonna begin with the chimichurri. We're gonna start with the base of it. We're gonna begin by grating some garlic. So we're gonna grab a couple garlic cloves, and you can use a microplane or a garlic press if you